So I don't know if I'm going to upload this technically 4 times. Now I have done this video before. It wasn't all the books that we see in here. It's like 26 books here. I had done like 10. That was back last month. Now I might hell, what I might do is I might do across my 4 channels. I'll do like today. I'll do on my second channel. Tomorrow the first, or like something like that, and then like 4 consecutive days of videos. So big premiere for the same video. I'm gonna do that. So those of you on my first channel, I'm going to address my main channel first. That's where most of you come from. Yes, you have seen most of these books before. That is why I'm calling it the Image Comics I have read in my collection Redux. So some of these you've seen before, most of you have, but this is going to be a special video where across all my 4 channels I'm going to be publishing the same video. Now one of them is my alt account. Like I didn't even have a video upload on there. I will now. One is just like I kind of had like dumb videos on one. It was kind of like I wanted to do a video again, so it's kind of like a second cut, but I didn't want to do it on my main channel, so I did that there. One's a shitpost, and then one's my actual main comic book video. Now I might also decide to hell with it and not do that because I feel like there's just upsides and downsides to it, mostly downsides. And I kind of like this Charles M. Burns channel, not my main one. My Charles M. Burns one, the one I'll be most likely uploading this one on to have like the bonus content kind of thing. If you, especially if you haven't seen my Man of Steel, last video I did was my Man of Steel overviews. If you haven't seen that, hey, it's a bonus video on my second channel where I have like 5 videos. I think now I have 4 videos. I think 4 before, 5 now, I believe. Yes, yep, I was right. Four now, 5 once I upload this. Okay, so now onto the Image Comics that I have read. Now, Image Comics is a publisher. It's an independent publisher. It was one of the first, if not the first, independent publisher. Back in the 90s, these guys weren't getting paid enough for their work, and they weren't getting paid royalties, so they made it into a movie. They got paid very little, if to nothing, for the characters they created. So they're like, you know what? Let's create our own comic book company when when comics are in high demand and everyone's buying comics. And that's how Image Comics was born. That's a little TLDR. It was back in '92, and now I know there's a bunch of other independent publishers. I do have some Dark Horse books. I have the only Dynamite books I believe I have is The Boys. But Image Comics seems to have like when I check out books in the local library, I don't do any specific I don't do any specific goddamn what was the word? Come on, publisher. I'll do anything that piques my interest. Yeah, sometimes it'll be like, well, I want a book from this author, but it won't be all those books. It'll be like, yeah, I'm looking for a book from this author, but also next issue, next volume, the series I'm reading, and all that kind of stuff. It's across all different publishers. The best track record I've had has been with Image as far as independent publishers is concerned. Like the ones I've really enjoyed are from Image. Yeah, Vertigo too, but I'm not gonna count DC Vertigo as a independent publisher. It's just an imprint of DC Comics, which is obviously not an independent publisher. And now they've all been lumped into DC Black Label anyway, so that makes my job easier. But as far as independent publishers go, my favorite seems to be Image Comics, and today you will see why that is. Now, not all of these I have finished back to back or front to back. I will tell you which ones I have and which ones I haven't. One more. So I'm gonna do this one more time. If I mess up, I mess up. So the first one is a huge ass compendium. Now, what Image Comics does. So if you're familiar with like Marvel and DC, you will know the word omnibus. This is basically a softcover version of an omnibus. Not as tall, obviously, but still same paperback size, but it's all in one, thick one. And this one is Outcast. I've not read all of this, but I've read most of it. There's 8 volumes collected in here, and I swear to you guys, hand on a stack of Bibles, I have. It's just ironic because it has to do with the Bible. It's there's a preacher in here, priest, Bible, kind of like that, like Exorcist, basically. And hand on a stack of Bibles. I swear to God, I had read the first 7 volumes. at my local library. It was like interloans, of course. I got it from other libraries. But the second time I put in volume 7, they said it didn't have it. And it was almost like, yeah, probably their mistake or my mistake. Because TLDR for the interlibrary loan system, the main one, the bigger one, is that they won't. Sometimes they'll put in requests twice for them to go in. Like they'll say, nope, not available. Put in again. Oh wait, it is. So maybe that's all I had to do. And I decided to get this. What the hell not? I'm trying to. For the longest time, I just get quantity over quality. In more ways, not in a way that I would not like the books. I was just no. It was just like, hey, there's cheaper books. Hey, I can get them through a third party seller. Let's get a bunch of books and stack them up. I'm trying to get out of that phase of that phase of comic collecting, because I got to the point where I wouldn't even get a bigger book or a hardcover because I can get 20 books instead of like this compendium that I should get. Um, so I finally did get this book. It's all in one, which is really nice. All 48 issues. And yeah, I've read. I want to say I've read 7 out of 8 issues. 7 out of the 8 volumes are collected in here. I don't know about issues. I would say maybe 40 issues at least, roughly, because I don't think they would collect 8 issues in the last volume. I could be wrong, but I don't think they would have. But this is a very good series. If you like Exorcist, this is gonna scratch that itch. It's kind of like if you like Night of the Living Dead, you can check out his The Walking Dead, which will be next, by the way. Spoilers. Well, actually, it won't be next, because I've finished all that. So I want to differentiate them, but you will see Walking Dead on this list too. But this is basically the supernatural. If you liked Walking Dead and you liked The Exorcist, you'll like this one with Robert Kirkman. All comes full circle. Very, very good, very intriguing. It's very different from The Exorcist, but it's still in that same realm of possession horror. Very good book, very underrated book too. And I'll show the artwork. It's really gonna make it very hard to do that because it's a thick ass book, but here's the best I can do. There we go, perfect. But I'm just gonna be covering some of the artwork. Very good artwork too. But definitely pick that up if you haven't. Definitely pick that up if you're into any of what I just mentioned about the book. And it's $50 on Amazon, and honestly, you're getting 48 issues for $50. That is a steal in my book. Yeah, it'd be even better if it was 48 issues or $48, like even. So you get 48, comes even. But whatevs. It's better than it being $64.99. Even $64.99 is a pretty good deal. Next up, we have two of the same series, but one's a reboot, technically. And that is Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass the New Girl. This being the reboot, obviously. Now, Kick-Ass, this one is technicality because while I have read all of this, all the issues collected in here, I have not read the whole entire series itself. The reason for why that is because Kick-Ass, much like for Image Comics Spawn, there's a bunch of it. There's spin-offs, there's sequels, there's ones that aren't even written by Mark Millar, and it's still ongoing technically. So it's just one of those books that I'm kind of like very far behind on number one. I feel like I'm gonna get caught up on it. I have to I have to wait till like Christmas or birthdays. I had to get just Mark Millar and just Kick-Ass. Yeah, that's not. I'd be able to get like more books by Mark Millar, but be that and to be Kick-Ass. So, and even that I would have to like cut some corners. I feel. But this is a very, very entertaining book. If you like the movie, you'll love the comic, and vice versa. Very underrated movie too, by the way. It did everything Deadpool did, the first Deadpool movie did, but better. Like everything that Deadpool does, this does better. This is the kind of superhero genre, not satire that I want to see. The Boys is pretty good. Don't get me wrong, especially the TV show. But this is like I want to say where everyone takes their notes, and everyone should take notes on how to make a fresh take on the superhero genre. And it was one of the first Image books I got. I think I want to say. I watched the movie and I knew there was a comic book based off of it. And yeah, but yes, it was. I think it was the first Image comic I had because I was like, because I watched a Cinefix video on it. They're basically IGN, but a bit better. But they've merged with IGN, so now it's like, oh great. But they did I remember their series on What's the Difference. They did Kick-Ass, and because they couldn't have nudity, even drawn nudity, on YouTube, they had to censor it. And I wondered, hey, is it actually censored? Because I didn't know that comics like Image Comics, because they're independent publishers, they can uncensor the nudity without any issue. Now Marvel, yes, Marvel has that in the past. So has DC with Vertigo, DC, and for Marvel Max, but Marvel Max especially, they have like nothing. And DC Black Label, I want to say, doesn't do a whole lot of nudity. Though kind of it's more language, violence, everything else. But a must read. Now, Kick-Ass, the New Girl, I did remember liking. It's still the same creative team. Actually, the same exact creative team, right? Yep. Same exact creative team. Mark Millar and John Romita Jr. And for Outcast, it's Robert Kirkman, and the artist is who's the artist? Azaceta or Azaceta. It's Paul Azaceta for Outcast, by the way. Going back to that one. But Kick-Ass, the New Girl, it's a reboot done right. Yeah, I remember liking it. There is an ongoing, actual ongoing. This is an ongoing, but I've read all the issues in it. This is a while back, though. I want to say. I've only read this once before. Because Kick-Ass, I read like five different times. Like I could almost completely tell you exactly what happens in the book from start to finish without any real lapses without any real lapses. It's just like one of those books I've read a bunch of times, and even my forgetful ass remembers a lot of what happened in that book. Now this one's technicality because I've not read all the issues in this series, and that is Undiscovered Country. I've only read 4 out of the 6, and this one took me a lot to get into. So I would say to pick. This is only $10, by the way. So I would say pick this up, and if you like it the first time if you don't like it the first time you read it, I would say to give it a few months and then read again. If you don't like it then, you'll keep doing it. I would say stop after the 7th time, and that's if you're patient enough with it. Because if you're patient enough with this book and you're rereading it, I think you'll find one more thing that you liked about it each time you read it. And this is Charles Soule and Scott Snyder, and a bunch of artists. So I'll just show the. Wait, no, actually. No, yeah, it is. A bunch of artists. It's layouts and finishes. But the main artist here is Giuseppe Camuncoli. And this one is a dystopian future. Apparently, this is supposed to be like Trump bad kind of thing. I didn't really notice that much, but I did like it. I thought it was very enjoyable. Yeah, it kind of gets a bit too wordy at times, and it kind of gets too like involved and convoluted, and kind of like you're trying to it's more like they're trying to build a world and tell a story kind of thing. So it does get kind of boring if you want to actually know what's going on in the story. So, but I remember liking it enough. Do not expect it to be as good as any of Scott Snyder's other work. Maybe better than his DC work, but it's kind of like mid-tier Scott Snyder, but still good. Because I have not read anything by Scott Snyder I absolutely hated. His Justice League I didn't like as his 2018 series. That one I don't remember liking too much. I still enjoyed it enough. No, it wasn't like torture. And this next one, like with Outcast, I have read almost all of the series. And that is Curse Words. And like with all the series that you didn't have, the rest of the series at my local library or interloans. But this is Curse Words by Charles Soule. Ironic enough, also same writer as it did Undiscovered Country. And this is drawn by Ryan Brown. And this one is a wizard. If you like wizard, magic, that kind of stuff, you'll really dig this. This is like, it's like making wizards cool again, kind of thing. I remember really liking this. It was very zany. It was very fast-paced, very enjoyable. It's a nice time. It was never it was a nice kind of fun palate cleanser kind of book. Like you read like something really heavy-hitting that's kind of depressing. Like Outcast could be depressing at times, and then you read this and it's like more zany and fun and funny at times, very humorous. I wouldn't say it's a comedy book, or parts in this book it's supposed to take seriously. So I would say it's like a dramedy. But very good book. This next one I have read the first 2 volumes of, and that is, and yet again, my local library had the rest of the series, and that is Prophet. Soon to be a major motion picture, and hopefully they adapt to this more than they adapt to the Robert Liefeld stuff, because this is originally John Prophet was originally a John Prophet was originally a Rob Liefeld creation, but Simon Roy and Brendan Graham and a bunch of others came to reboot the series. And I remember really liking Volume 1. For whatever reason, I kind of stopped after Volume 2. Not only because they didn't have Volume 3, but also because I was kind of... I mean, maybe I wasn't in the mood for it. It reminded me a lot of Star Wars. People say Conan, but I was Star Wars when I first read this. I think I was reading Star Wars along with this, the Disney, the Jason Aaron run, and the on Star Wars, and then the Darth Vader Kieran Gillen run. I want to say I was reading that along with this. So yeah, I don't know why I kind of. And they say it's like Conan on drugs. So if that interests you, definitely pick this up. And like Star Wars, if you want something different with your sci-fi, I'd say pick that up. Oh, it's not showing. I didn't show artwork for. I don't want to do a second cut of this. You know what I'll do? I'll show. Screw it. Family Tree. I got both volumes. And this is volume 2, but we're gonna act like this is volume 1 because I read all of volume 1 and some of volume 2. This is a very, very good Jeff Lemire book. This is one of those ones I had read way back in the day when it was released, and that was great. And the only reason why I haven't finished this series is because they didn't have all the issues at my local comic shop. So I was never able to finish this, and I probably should. But it was very enjoyable, very intriguing, very edge of your seat. You know what's going to happen next, kind of thing. The artist for this one is Phil Nestor. Phil Nestor, Eric Gabster, and Ryan Cody do the art. Sorry, check one thing. Edited, okay. Whoopsie. Yeah, I didn't show the artwork. I try to do that, but I clearly forgot to do that. So next one, I have read all the issues of the first, second, and third volumes, and that is Monstrous. A very, very, very deep comic book, as in lore. There's a lot of lore in this book, but one that accomplishes it perfectly. This, especially the first volume, is very intriguing. It's very different than what you would expect. People have said it's very similar. I'm sure anime, say it's similar to this anime, similar to that anime, but it's very, very intriguing. Marjorie Leo writes this, and Santa Cata draws this. Amazing, incredible book that I highly recommend. Probably my highest recommendation for a series I haven't finished yet. But it's also an ongoing, too, so you can't like finish a book. It has to release all the issues, now can ya? But definitely pick this one up. They had all 7 volumes have released so far, and the 8th is coming out next month. They had all 7 volumes before they have the 8th volume that comes out on Interloans Library, but I didn't care. I wanted to own this series. Along with, they had 2 of the 3 of Middle West. Now, I read the first 2 volumes. Again, they have it at the library, but never got around to reading volume 3. Definitely should pretty soon here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with those, the ones I have read before, and but this is written by Scotty Young with artwork by George Corona, and this is very good. It's pretty heavy hitting sometimes, but it knows how to balance the drama and the more like fantastical the different kind of emotions, like, oh, well, that's really pretty, that's really cool, and like a really kick-ass kind of thing. It knows how to balance that and the more heavy-hitting storyline, which I will not give away. I'm not going to be talking too much about what these books are, but I will give you a feel for what you would like. Like, if you like fantasy, you'll like this book and Monstrous. If you like horror, you'll like Outcast and soon to be showing off Walking Dead. But if you like fantastical elements inside of a more grounded storyline, you'll like this. That should be a Netflix show. Begging to be a Netflix show, basically. Headlopper was basically Image Comics' Hellboy. A lot more like the artwork here I'll show. I just wasn't showing them all, but I'll do at the end. I'll show the artwork. But this is definitely more like cartoony artwork, cartoony kind of storyline. From what I remember, it was like very like comedic. But it was also also told a story too. It wasn't just like a bunch of like cartoons in a comic book strip. No, it was actually an actual story. And I remember liking this a lot. Now, first issue of this is probably the longest first issue of an Image comic ever, and it's almost 100 pages. It's insanely long, but also pretty damn good. The Beauty, just a super underrated book, super underrated writer, and that is written and drawn by Angela McClellan with Mike Spicer for Headlocker. I know it's drawn by it's colored by Mike Spicer. Okay. The epilogue is Lynn Fiesel and Joseph Bergen, the third. Sorry, go back to Beauty. The Beauty is written by Jeremy Huon and Jason A. Hurley, I think. Or was it drawn by Jason A. Hurley? He does the story, and then Jeremy Huon does the art. So yeah, Jeremy Huon and Jason A. Hurley write it. Jeremy Huon does the art, and John Roche is the colorist. But this is very intriguing. Basically, I'll give like a brief premise of it. Is if you want to be beautiful, you can, but at a price, and that price is usually not the price anyone would want to pay. So it's very intriguing. I've only read the first volume of it, but it's one of those books that they only had the first volume. They didn't even have the second volume of this at my local library. It's really weird. They only had the first one. It's a shame because I think everyone should at least read the first volume. That's all I read so far, but definitely check this out. This one is Excellence, and I've only read the first volume of this one, and it was very good. This one's written by Brandon Thomas, artwork done by Kerry Randolph and Emilio Lopez, or is that just the artist? Is that just the letterist? Yeah, Emilio Lopez, the colorist. Okay, so this one's wizards, like with very much like Harry Potter, like in that kind of like. I think it's a boy wizard, but pretty much, I'm sure. I'm sure. I believe, yeah, it's yep. Okay, and it had to do with there's a family dynamic behind it. It was just very interesting and very good. Very underrated book too. If you like wizards, you like that book. Now, just in time for Halloween, I'm going to recommend a horror comic, and I mean like a horror comic. Walking Dead is horror, yes. Oh, duh. Outcast is horror. Doy. So along with Outcast, I'm going to recommend this other horror comic, one that is all in one, and I've read all the issues in this book. There's two one shots, one being an anthology which I have not read, and one being a one shot which I have read. That's an 80-page book which I did read. This book's with the fall down here. That is Witches by Scott Snyder. And then a bunch of people do the artwork. I'm going to show you. So art's done by Jock. Colorist is Matt Hollingsworth. That wasn't a lot. Very good artwork too. I'm going to show the artwork now. I'll do it after. But this is like if you like it's like indie horror. It's kind of like it reminded. It's hard to explain. Basically, it's like indie horror. I guess that's the best way to explain it. But this is a very good book and probably my favorite Scott Snyder book, honestly. Very, very, very good. I've read this like 50 times. Soon to be going on for 51st. I'd almost say I know more about this book than I do. This book is fresher in my memory than Kick-Ass is. Yeah, because I've read it more recently than I did Kick-Ass, but also because of the fact of like I've read it so many times, maybe even more than Kick-Ass. So this is probably out of all of these, probably my favorite, honestly. I have to really look at it, but it's up there. Now all these I recommend, obviously. All these I recommend because I mean, why else wouldn't I own them? So when I say like I recommend this, obviously it's just this, pick all these up basically. But some are like more so than others. There's like 26 books in here, and I believe two of them are hardcovers, and one of them is a compendium. So you can't buy them all at once. So there is that. Here's that. Sorry. So obviously there's books I'll say I like this more than this one, so maybe pick that up. Maybe pick that one up more than the other one. Then we have The Few. I've said this about a bunch of books. This is extremely underrated. Like with Their Beauty, it's an underrated writer and an underrated book itself. And this writer here is Sean Lewis, and the artist is Hayden Sherman, right? Yep, just them both. This is now this collects 6 issues in a very thick book, and trust me when I say this, each issue feels like it's a regular 22-page comic. A lot of that, yes, is thanks to the fact that there's a lot of splash pages. A lot of the story is told through the artwork, but there is dialogue in here. I would say it's split up evenly. Like there's like for every, let's say there's 40 pages per issue. 20 pages of story of like dialogue and 20 pages of like just like splash pages, panels, and the artwork telling the story. Post-apocalyptic story, and I feel like this does a lot better than Undiscovered Country does. Also because it's it ends after 6 issues. But definitely check this one out, especially if you like post-apocalyptic comics. Next up, we have Cold Spots. If you're subscribed to New Condition, you saw him talk about this today. I'm going to upload this today, so but this is Cold Spots, a very good book. One that I have read only once, but it was one that my local library had, and I decided to buy it myself. I got it for third party seller too. So I think it was like $5. No, it was like 7. But very intriguing, very good. I highly recommend this book. Well, not highly. I recommend this book. If you like atmospheric horror, I highly recommend it. But if you want something deep and like kind of change your worldview of comics, I would say maybe skip this one. Cullen Bunn is also a very overhated writer too. I feel like a lot of people hate his writing for like no real reason. If you like horror, you like this one. It's more atmospheric. It has to do with like a ghost and stuff, and like all that and supernatural kind of stuff. Like Newman Condition said, Silent Hill was the main connection he made, and The Mist and The Fog. Sleepless. And this is a book that's for all ages. A lot of these, I want to say almost all of these have been mature rated. Yeah, I think for the most part these all have been. I think Excellence, no, that was mature rated. Yeah, almost all of these. At the very least, almost all of these were mature rated, 17 and up. I would say like 15, like high school and up. But this one, Sleepless, can be read by almost anyone, almost anyone of every age, like all ages kind of thing. And it says rated T for teen. There's some mild violence, and it's not like a kiddie book. It's just like it's like PG-13, but like only for the violence kind of thing, and some thematic elements or whatever. But this, if you like fantasy, if you like a more like a story more than like just like action, you'll like this one. It's more. There's not a whole lot of action in this book, and when it does happen, it's intriguing. But this is very, very good. Written by Sarah Vaughn, artwork done by Lila Del Luca, and the colors is done by Alyssa Sala, and the flats are done by Gabe Fisher, and production done by Shana Uzak. But yeah, very, very good. There's 2 volumes in the series. I probably should specify that. But only 2 volumes in the series. At the end, I'll tell you how many volumes are each book. I mean, some of them are all in one, which is nice, but not. Actually, some of these I don't know because these next 2 I don't know. Now this is like with Kick-Ass. One's technically a spin-off. Actually, one's a prequel. Now Jupiter's Circle, I have read the whole entire series of. However, Jupiter's Legacy, I've only read 1 volume of. And there's a pretty damn good reason for that, and that's because I like Jupiter's Circle a hell of a lot more than Jupiter's Legacy. Jupiter's Legacy, I probably will give it a second chance to, and either way, I'm going to try to be getting all these volumes myself and to own my personal collection. But this one, I was fortunate enough to have my local library, again, Interloans, have all the volumes of this series, have this whole entire series. And I remember really enjoying it. It was like, it wasn't as good as Kick-Ass, but it was like a worthy, like, if you like Kick-Ass, check out this, also by Mark Millar, kind of book. And honestly, it's pretty underrated, honestly. If you like a superhero genre, if you like Mark Millar, you like this. But Jupiter's Legacy is probably a lot a lot slower paced and just kind of wasn't as interesting. The characters did not grab me as good as the Jupiter Circle did. Circle is the prequel. Paul is dead. This is a historical fiction, obviously, of the whole did Paul McCartney really die? That whole theory. This one basically says yes, he didn't really die. Here's why. But very good book. Very fast paced too. I remember it's an OGN. It's all in one. There's no issues collected in here like how all the others have been. And I can probably knock this out in like 2 hours, 3 hours at the most, and you'll like honestly like a long car like on a plane going away. You can pick this one up and reach enjoyment. I'm not a huge Beatles fan. I wasn't too into that whole, obviously not into that whole theory either. Also, but I'm a casual fan of the Beatles. I've listened to their music, but I couldn't like. I don't listen to them on the regular. And I probably should because they're pretty good. They're obviously really good artists, really good songwriters, singers, writers. Um, but definitely a book to. So even then, like even though I'm not into that whole thing, I still find this intriguing. So I would say anyone should pick this up. Teen Plus has 2 F words in it, from what I remember. So PG-13. Yeah, it's actually 3 F words, but still PG-13. Because I remember there are movies where you're allowed 3 F words and they still got a PG-13 rating. Most recently, Jules, that movie that no one saw. Wicked and Divine, I've read all this series, and I'm currently rereading it for the 50th time. I might just buy this whole entire series on myself. I had the first volume. I had it way back in the day, along with, I think it was the same day I bought the Jupiter books. I just, it was $10. Let's get these $10 volume ones and read them and see if I like them. And I was fortunate enough for my local library to have the rest of the series. I was able to finish it way back in the day, the first time, and since then I've read it again and again and again. This is very, very good. Probably my favorite Image comic series of all time. Like ongoing, actually, it's not ongoing. One of my favorite Image comic series of all time. And there's a reason for why this is like so. Like, if you think of Image comics, you think of this. Like it's kind of one of those things. Like, if you're like me and you're into Image comics, you've read this at least once. And there's a reason for why this is so popular among Image comics fans. And it's independent comics fans also. It's just that good. It has to do with gods, kind of like a fantasy thing. It's a modern fantasy, like what gods were celebrities in the real world, kind of thing. But that does not do it justice. And that's why I like that. It's so complicated to tell you what happens in it because a lot happens in Wicked within what 48 issues? No, 40, not 48. I think 43. Within 9 volumes of the story. Then we have the other side. This is all one, 5 issues. And this was a very good war comic. Now, out of all the genres, I'm pretty like lenient for all the genres. Like I like fantasy a lot. I like crime a lot. I like sci-fi a lot. None of them I would say I don't like, except for war comics. I don't know what it is. I think maybe because it's just too formulaic. Like it's what? Oh, you go into war and it's really bad time. Yeah, no shit. But this one deals with one of my, for the most, somewhat deals with at least one of the only things I like in war movies that I find interesting each time I should say like, but each time I watch a war movie, that's about this, it's about PTSD. And that's like that is just like, no matter what movie I see, it's always been the most interesting aspect of it. Like, thank you for your service. I really like it. I really liked. So for the most part, if I really like a war comic or a war movie, it's usually because it deals with PTSD or does something different, so to speak. Yeah, I know PTSD isn't different, obviously, but this is written by Jason Aaron. I keep forgetting. This is Karen Gill. I'm so wow. You know what? I'm not gonna say who it's by. We're not gonna say. I'm just gonna say what the book is. Saying who it's by, it's not gonna add anything. I'll look a read. I'm so forgetful. But whatever. Let's move on. All right. If you like war comics, I like this one. It's very interesting. I mean, even I liked it. I don't like war comics. Yeah. Let's move on. Walking Dead. Walking Dead. I have read this entire whole series, but only once before, and it's a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was a lot of issues. Um, it was almost 200. I don't remember how much exactly it was. It was in the 190. So it's like 192, I think. A lot of issues in this series. So I think that was kind of like, yeah, the hardcovers, only 15 of them, like the whole entire run, or 4 compendiums. But those are compendiums, thick ass books. But a lot of book. But I really, really like this. It's probably honestly, for the longest time, I said this is my favorite Image comic, and I think that still stands today. So I don't think you need any more than that. And it's Walking Dead. Now, it's very different from the TV show from what I've heard, but I mean, it's superior. From everyone who has read the comic and watched the TV show, they say the comic is superior. This next two are ones that I liked enough to own, but it was mostly because I wanted to get the last of this author's book or this author's, what they did for Image Comics. So first up, we have Generation Gone by Ailes Cott. It's Chronicle, basically. It steals a lot borrows a lot from Chronicle, but not as good as Chronicle. Chronicle was just like so damn underrated of a movie. I watched it twice. Once it was the theatrical cut, and once it was director's cut. Ironically enough, I've watched both versions of the movie. Both times I've loved it. It's so damn underrated. But this one, it's kind of like honestly, it'd be kind of funny if it was backwards, because usually you like the movie more than you like the comic, or sorry, usually you like the book more than you like the movie, or vice versa, or comic more than the movie. But this time, I like the movie more than I do the comic. Yeah, I know it's not actually based off the Generation Gone, because Generation Gone came out after the movie did, but it takes a lot from it, so you might as well just say it's based off the movie. But it does do something different. I wouldn't say it's a complete ripoff. It does get a lot better as it goes along, but it's only 5 issues. And honestly, I wish it was 2 volumes, because I did. By the end of this book, I wanted more, but it just took a lot. It just took a long time to get to that point. I will be reading it again pretty soon here, so we'll see if it redeems itself. Then we have On the Stump by Chuck Brown. Like with Ailes Cott's Generation Gone, this was the last Chuck Brown book I needed for Image Comics. So I was like, the hell with it, let's just get it. So, but I still remember liking it. Like, it wasn't one of those books I was like, oh, I want to buy this one. No, I remember liking it enough, but it wasn't like a super holy shit, this is the best thing ever kind of book. It was just kind of like, yeah, it's good. Those two are probably the only ones that I hesitate to put on my best of list. It was just kind of like when I put it there. Then we have Sacred Creatures, and these are all these ones I've read before, by the way. The one I did before was basically a top 10 kind of things. I had 10, but I kind of wish I'd redone that video, and that's why I'm doing it again here, because I forgot a lot of books. And of course, like with Sacred Creatures, I bought that after the fact. Sacred Creatures, one that I have read fairly recently too, by the also, which is kind of funny. This one my local library had, but I had to own it myself. It was that good. And I want to see Volume 2, because this is one of those books that unfortunately ends on a cliffhanger, because I guess they thought they'd have a Volume 2, but no news of Volume 2 yet, and it's been out for a good long while. But hopefully get more of this series, because it's very good. Klaus Janson is a co-writer on that book. And yes, that Klaus Janson. The one that did Frank Miller. Run on Daredevil. He did the artwork for the Frank Miller Run on Daredevil. Then we have the book I ironically enough bought at the same time as I bought Sacred Creatures, and that is Wayward. And like with Sacred Creatures, I have read all of this, like everything, that's all the issues. So this one deals with like Japan, like magic in Japan, and a girl named Rory Lane. She goes to Japan, a bunch of magical shit's happening. But very, very good. Written by Jim Zub. If you like Jim Zub, you'll like this one. Definitely pick it up, and pick up the deluxe editions, because they come with posters that, yes, are already up on my wall. Let's see if I can show them off. right there. That's where I have the posters. And then last, but certainly not the least, is Bitterroot. One of the very few modern comics that does politics right. It doesn't blame anyone for anything. It's just kind of like, hey, this is the way things are, and hey, maybe all the racist people are monsters, like actual monsters, or are possessed by monsters. I like that aspect. It's very like, it's not too like depressing, hard hitting, or anything like that, because it's they know to go for like a more like a kick ass kind of thing. Oh, they're kicking the monsters' asses. This is really fun, kind of thing. This is the omnibus, and I wanted to get this. It's worth it. It's a nice. It's an actual size of a Marvel omnibus. Very thick. Gives you all the entire series all in one. I would say do that. Yeah, getting all the trades would be cheaper, but if you can afford it, I'd say get the omnibus. Okay, so now that's it. That's all the books that I want to talk. That's all the Image comics I've read. I hope that that is the case at least. I did not include the ones I've read like one issue of. It has been at least 4. The only exception to that rule was Undiscovered Country, which is 4. So that was my breakoff point. 41 minutes. Holy shit, it's a long video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a more of like a kind of like TLDR kind of thing where I just go through them all. I'll tell you, no. No, you know what I'll do? We'll do a conclusive thing. In conclusion, so I'm going to count all the ones that I've read the entire series of. Jupiter Struggle counts, but Legacy doesn't. That's a lot of books. You know what? I'm just gonna end it. That's all. I guess I gotta put all these books away too. They were all on my shelf. But a lot of books, and I think I counted it as 26 books. I want to say I've read at the very least 14 or 15. Maybe it's 11, maybe 12. I don't think it's anything more than 15 though. But that, I'd say is that. You can, you know what I would say look into these books yourselves and do your own research to who the artist and the author and the artist are. Yeah, I know I kind of forgot, and I know I should be doing that, but it's one of those things I keep forgetting. I'm an amateur YouTuber, so unfortunately I'm not gonna remember to do that each and every time. And I decided I'm gonna just upload this to my Charles Burns account. So if you are here from this Justin Comics, awesome. This is kind of a bonus video for anyone who wants more of my channel, I guess. But that's it. Yeah, nothing else. And yes, my shirt was glowing. Basically, it was like